I've got return guest, repeat offender, Brenda Rhodes here today. Welcome, Brenda.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And so we had a wonderful chat last time. We talked all about overcoming trauma through narcissistic abuse, some of your experiences and approaches with Andean shamanism, as well as Reiki and hypnotherapy. What have you been doing since then?
Well, since we talked last, I've completed 2 books and I've opened up a new space for groups and a lot of availability for the community. I've just held a drumming circle and um, there are new classes like connecting with guides that are, it's considered MAP. So it's medical assistant program. I'm going to be teaching that as well. And
What
that's
does
about
that entail?
what it entails is really connecting, learning about how to connect with the earth energies and nature and also our guides. And so MAP, the one part of it is the medical unit that you would call in. They actually are the guides that are very versed with the physical body. And so you can call them in if you have an illness or an injury. And it's not about giving a diagnosis, it's about having a conversation with them, letting them know what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, and giving them all that kind of insight and not labeling it as I broke my arm or, because that doesn't really help them. And then the other aspect of the MAP program, you can connect with those energies like the nature spirits and stuff to be able to work with your emotional and mental bodies. And if you're having difficulty mentally or emotionally with a situation, you can open up a map session and you literally lay there. So, and you just have that conversation with them. What is happening? What are you experiencing? And you can have a sense of some things shifting, and that's what you want to let them know so they know how to help you better. It's a really amazing process, and part of this is about creating a community so that if the group of people that work together, if one person needs help, you can just call each other and say, hey, can you send me your team? And then people send the team, and then you have all these wonderful teams working with them, with you. Or you can send your team to somebody. There's a lot of times people will call me up and say, hey, my father-in-law isn't doing well. These are his symptoms. Can you send your MAP team? And so I'll work with my MAP team and they'll just go and do what they need to do. And then I call them back when, I feel that it's time for them to come back.
So I'm guessing for a lot of people, it's a nice introduction to who their team is actually, what purpose they serve, and how to work with them.
Yeah, it's the class is actually about really connecting with it and learning how to open up a map session and um, trusting and learning to have that communication. And then you also get a symbol with it. You ask them for a symbol, and you can always use that symbol almost like an anchor, as if you're doing in hypnosis.
Or like a personal power symbol for people who
Yes.
don't know what an anchor is.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true. Yes.
Yeah, it's just a way to get you back to a certain way of thinking or feeling very quickly.
Yes. And also, I'm holding a sound bath. I have a woman that's coming up that is fairly local, and she has 3 hand pans and the chimes and a lot of bowls that are working with the chakras. And it's just going to be like an hour and a half of melting and relaxation. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So, when you say local, I've learned that this podcast has people listening from 7 to 8 different countries. When you say local, where is the Serenity Wellness Collective located?
It's at 101 North First Street in Lehighton, which is about
What state?
maybe 40 minutes north of Allentown in Pennsylvania
Okay.
in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful so that if you've got people in the tri state area that want to make the effort, come enjoy the sound bath, or maybe join the MAP program, then they know how to find you.
Yeah, they just have to call me up and register. Usually, it's on my Facebook for Brenda Rhodes, Insights, Hypnosis, and Reiki, and under events. So you can click going, but it doesn't mean that you're registered. It's really important to call me so I can know that I have space for you.
Yeah, so seating is limited. You
Mm-hmm.
heard it here first, and that was Brenda Rhodes' Insight Hypnosis and Reiki.
Yes.
And so you've been very busy making brand new events, being part of this whole new collective, and opening up your schedule for more one on one sessions. What are the types of sessions that you've been focusing on most lately?
Many people are working with anxiety, letting go of fear. Some I've been finding are having a instant past life recall because that's where they need to go to eliminate whatever it is that's causing them issues in this life. Um, just really a lot of support. There's a lot of fear and helping people to navigate and touch in with their higher self so they can find those right places to make decisions or connect with the higher self, which is actually the part that really knows what the truth is for them. A lot of people are learning how to reparent themselves, to be that parent that they didn't have, or learning that this isn't a blame game. It's about taking a responsibility for the self. So it's really about a lot of trauma releasing and support, confidence, and creating wellness and happiness.
Mhm. Okay. And so was that kind of what led you to create that system that that resource, I should say, Worry Detox?
Yes, because worry in my definition, worry encompasses anxiety, stress, tension. And I remember as a younger person, my mother would always say, "I'm worried, I'm worrying, I'm worried." And actually it's kind of revisited within my office. A lot of my clients are now talking in the frame of worry. And so I thought it was really important to create a very easy download book that can give you the steps and techniques of what you can do and just kind of look through it quickly that you can help yourself to let go of the worry, the stress, the relaxation. There's some quick hypnosis or guided visualizations that you can do in there. There's some vagal techniques that you can use from there. There's many different resources that are in there for you so that you can empower yourself, and that's the bottom line, is to have them pretty much at your fingertips, use them, and then you feel better. You can go about your day in a better place.
Absolutely. I mean, worry is a whole vibe, right?
Yeah.
And if you're in the vibe of worry, then you're kind of chasing away the things that are possibly meant for you, to include joy and peace.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that you integrate in the vagal techniques. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your nervous system. It is responsible and helpful to work with on so many levels. Ever since training with you and Shelly, what was it, not last year at NATH, the year before, for the
Yeah.
vagal nerve specialist program, I bring it into every single session because it's just so key. And so, of course, you offer that in your worry detox system as well. And where do people find that?
It's downloadable off of my website, allentownhypnosis.com. Just go under um I just lost the link.
That's okay.
um
I will put it in the show notes,
okay.
but that way people know to head to your website and it'll also be there. And so then from they download it right from that moment, how do you recommend they approach using that as a resource? Do you recommend they read it once through or they go to a specific segment?
I think I think they need to use their intuition. There are very quick techniques that they can use if they need it, like instantly. Say that they're in a spot and they download it right then and there. They don't need to go and read the beginning. It's a very easy read and it doesn't take long, and everything is, indexed very open and easy for them to find those things. It starts off with a little bit of what may be happening, what you may be feeling and experiencing, but really the book is designed to support you and to bring you in a place of feeling uplifted and happier.
Are there different kinds of worry? Like, do they originate in different ways or express in different ways?
I think so. A lot of times there might be something that comes back from our past that is triggered, and it's a memory. It's a way our system is built to protect ourselves. The thing is with these tools that you have from this book, it allows you to release yourself, kind of like cutting the cord, or just letting it go. Many people have different ways of talking about releasing it. And sometimes it's just really about letting yourself off the hook, something that we may have done in the past that we're not happy about, or we believe that wasn't right. It's the past. It's not doing anything by keeping ourselves in a place of guilt or anxiety because, oh, I did that to my sister and I really feel bad.
Yeah.
You're living right here in the present. So it's really about moving from this place and embracing the self in all the facets and letting it go,
I
or a place
love
of surrender.
Yeah, that's my favorite word. It's my favorite inner practice that always brings me back to the here and now, which is an important part of dealing with worry. But what I heard there that I really liked, and it kind of triggered a thought for me, a memory recent, is that a lot of the times the places where we have worry, like you said, it's kind of that muscle memory, somatic experience. We don't have to consciously know what it is in order to
Right.
experience it. So an example I have of this, I was at the shop. Oh, this is awesome. You're not going to be able to hear the sirens, but
I do.
my story is actually about that. When they hear the recording, they won't probably. But I was on my way back from the shop. I had just had a client for IEMT, which is integral eye movement technique, where we help reprocess their memories, move the eyes, and then change the internal emotion, reaction, perception of the memory so that it kind of disentangles, uncords, if you will.
Mhm.
And I felt like ridiculous because here I was driving and I heard police sirens or ambulance sirens. And every time I hear ambulance sirens, what used to happen was it would boot up that somatic unconscious memory and I would well up. My eyes would start to well up. If it was close enough, tears would come down. And I felt like the biggest hypocrite on the way back from this client session. It's like, here I'm helping somebody and I'm having this ridiculous response in traffic. And traffic wasn't going anywhere. And so I did the thing they don't recommend to do, which was did IEMT on myself while in a car. Um, and I just wanted to see, could I quickly process that? And so I was like, okay, this reaction, I tried to be objective. I started working myself through. And as I was working through that reaction, the memory hit. And it was me being in the car, passenger side with my mom. I remember hearing the ambulance sirens and then her saying, oh my God. And there was this huge crash, major wreckage, so sad. And you could tell that the people didn't survive. I didn't remember that. I didn't know that was being re-triggered every time I heard the ambulance sirens. Now, as you can see, the sirens can go by and I have zero response. I'll pray for them, but that's it. But those are those triggers that we hold, and sometimes they're not even ours, or we blew them out of proportion because at 8 years old, everything looked bigger and scarier. Not like now. So I love that you help people bring awareness to that. So as you're going through Brenda's book, pay attention to those memories that start to surface and see them with your adult eyes. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. it is amazing on how things are recalled. And it was interesting because I wasn't able to sleep. I woke up very early yesterday morning and I was laying in bed and my recall went to all these amazing experiences I've had in Peru, in the Iquitos, in the Amazon, in the Sacred Valley, in Cusco, when I was in Bali, and it was a beautiful experience of having those positive recalls. And I believe that that's from me retraining my consciousness, my subconscious. Because I am a firm believer of being in the present. And if there's something that is happening, to look at it as this is for me, not against me, and using my tools. And I find that a lot of people don't want to use the tools. They want to have an instant fix. And unfortunately, that instant fix is really taking that responsibility, using those tools for the self and practicing. And so I just found it a very interesting dynamic how what a wonderful experience that I was able to have all these things I haven't thought about in years
Mm-hmm.
just come to me.
Yeah.
And if we have a problem, if we have a situation, we can use one of those vagal nerve exercises that's in the Detox book, or even my other book that's Great Relationships. And we can use those, but we also have our mind. We can instantly switch that story and go to a story that is happy, go to a story that is safe, and just remind yourself right now, here, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because so many people are in the past, or better yet, in the future. And that future of the unknown is just, it just blows your head apart because there's no way of figuring out what that's going to be. There's just, no matter how many scenarios you create, you can't make that to be your reality when that time would come.
Yeah.
However, your body's experiencing it as if it is happening. And to bring ourselves back, to do that practice, to come back into the self, take those deep breaths. Maybe even something as simple as putting a rubber band around your wrist. I mean, years ago, I remember my mother was told to do that and snap it when you're in that place because it breaks the state. It gets you out of that. And then move the mind. Think about a special place. It might be somewhere you would like to go. It might be somewhere you have visited. It might be an illusional place. I had a client that was pregnant and she wanted to be on the moon sipping a glass of wine. And it doesn't matter. It's just about allowing yourself to experience it with your senses because your body is taking it in as truth. And so it allows you to calm down. So if you think about how powerful the mind is, and how quickly one can get spun out with negativity,
Mm-hmm.
so can one go into that positivity. It's a little bit more work or a little bit more practice because it's something that's not as common because of what we've learned from parents, school, society, religion. It's like, oh, you got to be afraid of this. And, oh, this is happening. Or you have people gossiping, or you pick up something somebody says. But the more you practice this, the more you start empowering yourself, the more you're loving yourself and nurturing yourself. And that's really what these books are about, is to find those ways of really loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's by saying yes. And that's by perhaps saying no to something or someone else. And you can say no to the negativity as well.
Mm-hmm. I really liked what you said. Um, and I can't recall the exact way that you stated it, but I've seen this in my work, and I wonder if maybe you've seen it too. It's like those things that repeat, those states, those memories that we have. It almost seems like it's a limited track, like that. Here's an age reference. Like that tape only has so much space, and if that space is taken up by those negative programs that play on loop, we don't have access to the joyful stuff. I see that all the time when we start to change those imprints and start to manage the mind of then when we start reducing those negative imprints, we don't even have to try to bring up the positive ones. They just come up because all of a sudden there's like that space for them. Have you noticed that? Like that space kind of container, like there's only opportunity for so much.
Um, it in a sense, yes. I think when you have someone that is a good guide, whether that's a counselor, a hypnotist, or a really good friend, they allow you to be in it. And I think sometimes you really need to be in it in order to process it, because also these these traumas and experiences that we have had in the past, they are in the body as well, and
Hmm.
so it's about helping to release that. And as you were talking about that process that you were doing, and then you would start doing it in the car, you were helping to release that from your body as
Hmm.
well, not just your psyche.
Yeah.
And so we have that availability. And again, there it comes back to, you can really work with the vagal nerve, and as simple as humming.
Yeah.
Even if you just start humming happy birthday, it doesn't matter how shitty you may feel, just do it. Or if you think about something that happened, like, oh, my husband, he cheated on me, and start laughing,
Mhm.
he just cheated on me. Oh my God, what an idiot. you know,
Mhm.
that really breaks that state, that breaks
Mhm.
that energy of that negativity, and it allows you to lift up higher, to
Yeah.
be in a higher vibration.
I think maybe I was unclear. And what
Oh,
I
I'm
was trying to
sorry.
express was like we seem to only have a certain amount of bandwidth for what we can hold and process. It's the weirdest thing. Like, and so the more of those negative impressions we have, the fewer of the positive ones we have. Like when you were talking about Iquitos and Cusco, those were able to come onto the bandwidth after you'd removed some of the negative imprints. And it's like I see it in myself as well. It's so interesting. It's like we only have a capacity to hold so much at a time before things are just unconscious. And then it's a somatic thing that's happening within the body, and we don't have conscious memory of that thing happening.
Right. Yeah, I see that too. Yes.
Yeah, it's weird. It's such a strange phenomenon. But you bring up so many good and really just valid points with the nervous system, how to change the state of things. And I think for listeners, like when you're listening to this, I hope it's not too much expert speak in your understanding of, oh, when I'm having a response to something that I'm not enjoying, that is a state. That is a state of mind, a state of being. I can shift it.
Yeah, and it's really about widening that perspective. And
Hmm.
I think that's where that limitation comes in, because the perspective is, when we're focused on something and we're really focused on it, it's very narrow, and that's where your bandwidth is. And when we are able to slightly adjust that into opening it a little bit, of course, now you have a wider bandwidth, you have a wider perception. And if you follow in that, you keep opening that availability to yourself.
That
So with that
is
opening, you're actually releasing all that stuff that, kept you trapped in that. Yes.
And then it's the neuroplasticity. It's the actual muscle memory in the brain of I'm used to being in a certain state of mind 365 days a week. So tomorrow when I wake up, what's going to automatically happen? All of those same neural pathways are going to trigger in the brain. And so the more you can change those break state, the way that Brenda's talking about is how you begin to expand that bandwidth and make those changes. And that's what
And
your books
create,
do.
yeah, and create new neural pathways.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wild time to be living and exploring as science starts to show up for us and back these things up, these practices that we've had for so long now.
Yeah, it is interesting times. Very
S-
interesting.
So I think a natural segue is after people kind of work on that worry and explore the self love, that then naturally the next thing to happen is great relationships.
Yeah, great relationships. I'll show you the book.
Yeah.
So it's all about loving me, loving the self first, loving the other person, and then loving in that relationship with other people. So you're creating that relationship with yourself first. And we're not trained, we're not taught to do that. We're so many people come in and say, "Oh, I can't do that. That's selfish." Or "I have to take care of so and so first." Or, "I have to do this and I have to do that and I don't have any time for myself." The bottom line is, if you don't fill up that cup that you keep giving out to other people, you're empty, you're burnt out, you don't have any more to give. And so that's why it's about being selfish, if you want to use that word, because it's actually being selfless. It's about giving to you. So you're being self full. You're filling up you're filling up your teacup. And the reference I like to give is that, when you have that teacup completely full, nothing goes to anybody else except for that drop that falls over or pours over onto the saucer. Because then when you have yourself filled up, you have so much patience, you have so much energy, you're in a place of clarity so that you can help somebody, or you can be a guide, or whether it's a physical thing, maybe helping somebody move, or maybe it's helping a friend. But it's got to be about the self and taking care of you first, loving you first. And that's where it's love me. In the book, it references as three different hats. And the first one is the love me hat. So if you imagine picking up this love me hat and putting it on, just take a moment. What does it look like to you? How would you describe this me hat? Is it a party hat? Is it a gallon tall hat? Is it um, maybe a cowboy hat? Whatever it is, it's got to be a hat that fulfills you. And that could be about going into new spaces and learning how to touch into your creativity. It could be about going and working things out with a hypnotist, with Amanda or me, or going to maybe a psychotherapist. But it's about filling you up and saying yes to you and creating boundaries. And those are huge ways of creating that relationship with you. Because if you don't know how to have a relationship with you, if you don't know how to love yourself, how can you possibly know how to have a healthy relationship with someone else?
Is
How
a
can you
huge
possibly,
difference in
yeah,
quality
how
of
could you,
tea that you're actually getting.
yeah, how could you possibly have boundaries with a friend?
Mhm.
As you and I connect every once in a while, you're very helpful to me. And, if you have any questions or need any help, I'm available to you. But we also have our own specific boundaries where we don't cross that other person's, their line, because we're already secure within ourselves. We already have a good relationship with ourselves. And that's not saying that we're perfect, and that's not saying that we have it all figured it out. We are still in this process as well. It's just that we've been doing this walk and this talk for a lot longer and doing the processes, but it doesn't make us any better than anybody else. We're all equal.
And then think about how many times that walk and talk isn't even authentically our own. It's, the walk and talk we learned from our parents who weren't taught to be self full of love or self loving.
Yeah, those limiting beliefs, they just, they're sneaky. They're very
Cultural,
sneaky.
cultural, societal beliefs as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. All of
yeah.
those play that impact. And so, for people who are learning about the book and they're maybe interested in becoming self full so that they can give more quality to their relationships, what would you say is the most helpful part for them as they navigate the book?
To pick it up and take some time and read it. There's so many. The book is designed to be extremely positive. It's co-authored with Shelley Stockwell, and we together looked at what does our reader want to know. There's so many things out there that you begin that book and it's very downing, and it's a lot of blah blah, and this is about uplifting. There's wonderful uplifting stories. There's some jokes that we have said in there. There's some of our own personal experiences, other people's experiences, and it's just about, you can open it up, and sometimes, if you open it up to a page and just start reading, good chance that's where you need to be. So you have the opportunity. Of course, you can look through it, you can read through it from cover to cover. But it can be a manual, but it can also be, oh, I need to figure out how to do this, and so you just look for that section, and it's right there. And that the on my website, it's called the Success Store. That's where you can find my books.
Okay. So, primarily, what I'm hearing is the book is helpful for people learning to reframe their relationship with self.
Mhm.
And how does that lead to richer, intimate relationships with other people beyond that we're able to give from a more nourishing place?
Well, it allows you to, once you're loving yourself, it allows you to be able to step aside and take that me hat and put that you hat on, so that it's all about you. So that if you're helping somebody or you're working with someone, I'm, just listening. I'm understanding. I'm being a space holder. And, if we can become a space holder for our children to express themselves instead of jumping in or saying, no, 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 you're wrong, with your own opinion. It's about allowing other people to know that they're being seen and they're being heard. So it's really about backing off
Okay.
and being
Yeah.
and supporting.
One thing I see a lot with clients, the more work we do together, the more they start to want to refer their spouses. And it can often become this situation of, oh, if my spouse would just do this, or my spouse would just hear that. Um, are there segments in the book that maybe people can do with their loved ones, like pull an exercise out and just help each other see what hats they're wearing?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot about like what they could do to create date nights. There's a lot to be about how to make more cuddle time and loving and connecting with the chakras and sitting together. This is a very rounded book. It really pulls in every aspect of life. And then so, when you're doing that, then you're in that loving us, or that us hat, if you want to put it that way. And then you are an individual, but yet you're together. So you're honoring both yourself and the other at the same time. And
And then the relationship. Yeah.
yeah, it blossoms.
And it's not just for couples. If you're thinking it's an intimacy thing, I promise you it is not. I was in Shelley Stockwell's most recent NATH keynote speaker, and she did a demonstration of this. And I had my dear friend Jay with me, and we had the luck of being coupled together towards the end of the exercise, where there's some really deep intimacy enhancing things. That was a new experience for Jay, and I don't want to out her, but that was kind of an overwhelming thing to be at a conference and have all these things happening. And so that we got to be together, look each other in the eyes, go through the process. There was this really deep moment where you get to look at the other person and say, "I get you."
Yes.
And oh God, she needed that. That
Oh,
she
yes.
needed that so much, and then it really enhanced our relationship moving forward as friends. And that was a I mean, the whole presentation was 30 minutes, but that one segment was maybe 1 minute. So it's quite powerful. And so you guys have outlined a lot of this within the book as well.
Yeah, it's about having a relationship with yourself, having a relationship with your friends, learning how to have a healthy relationship in your work, learning how to have relationships with, your children and maybe in-laws, even a relationship with nature and your pets. I mean, there's many aspects to this, and it's not only just a manual for, if a self-help book, if that's what you need, that's great, but this book is amazing for therapists as well. And it's a beautiful guide that it's so layered that it works for everybody.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing what inspired the book?
Um, well, Shelly and I were like kind of sitting at our house, and she's like, I think we ought to write a book together.
The woman
And
of how many books now?
I think including this one, this is the 27th book of hers.
Oh my goodness. So
But
she's right
I
up there with Dolores Cannon. Actually, she's going to have passed Dolores Cannon.
Yeah, I think she's doing an autobiography right now. But yeah, so there's several books that she has written, co-authored with other people, and it was a really great honor to be able to do that with her. And I not only got to learn more about myself and creating a much deeper relationship with myself, I got to create an amazing relationship with her. And to be able to see each other in clarity, and to recognize, well, maybe that's not the most beneficial thing, but you accept that aspect, and it
Yeah.
doesn't rub you the wrong way because you are secure in yourself.
And the
And
different facets of each other, because working on a big project like that is going to bring up every part of you, whether you were conscious of it or not.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, she would maybe write something and then experiment on me and say, well, how do you feel like that about that? And I'm like, oh my God, that was really deep. Or,
Yeah.
I would come from my background. So Shelley's coming from, a lot of hypnosis and psychology, as well as I'm coming from the hypnosis, but I'm also coming from the Buddhism and also shamanism. And so what a collaboration. And so I could do some exercise on her and it would be the same thing. She'd be like, wow, so
I can
it
actually
was
hear her voice.
yeah. So we decided I wanted to write a book actually, because I'm very about being inclusive and a safe place. And that includes the LGBTQ plus. And there's many reasons why. And I just think, we everybody is equal, and we all need a safe place. And I was really thinking about this and speaking with her about it. And she said, you know, why do you have to limit it to just the LGBTQ? And I started to thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, why can't we do it where it's just all inclusive?
Yeah.
So this is literally all inclusive. So if a man is with a man, they're welcome to use this book. I'm looking to do relationship collaborations as well, and groups and stuff like that in the near future. So even if it's a friend, people can come. It's about really getting to know the inside, getting in touch with that spirit of you, and and really blossoming.
I heard you say you've got some groups coming, but I'm wondering, for people going through the book, and it could be a parent child relationship, could be a friendship relationship, any kind of relationship. Do you offer relationship coaching or hypnotherapy sessions so that if they want to go a step further and get more specialized, unique to their relationship situation help? Is that available?
Yes. Yes, it is. I do, as well as I'm looking in the near future of creating seminars as well. And then there'll be like opportunities to have maybe one-on-ones with that relationship with me, or it'll unfold the way it needs to.
Awesome. Anything else on the horizons that you're enjoying or that this has kind of led you into? Maybe you're having a whole new path open up.
Well, yes. I've been listening to my guidance. And as I said earlier, I opened up this new space that is about maybe 10 minutes away from my office where I do one on ones in order to have groups, in order to create a safe place, creating a women's group and some art therapy as well, and just touching into that creative juice, even if you don't feel like you have any
I think
artistic.
I think you were saying earlier you've got I'm going to butcher this. Was it felt needling this evening?
Felting, yes,
Felting.
I'm going to
Got it.
go to learn some felting so I can be there to support someone that is going to be teaching in my space. If there's more than one person that needs our help, so it's really about touching into that creativity, and it's not necessarily that you have to do art. I mean, everybody is creative in their own way. When we're making a decision, we're being creative, and we're figuring out how we're going to do that, which is creativity. So a lot of people will say, well, I don't have any creativity, but
Yeah.
that's not really a true story. It's that they're looking at one aspect of maybe a modality or something, but the truth is we're always creating, and we get to create our world, whether we're in a place of lack or stuck, or we're in a place of happiness and joy and upliftment. So yeah, I'm going to be learning how to do felting. And it was funny because I shaved my dog. And so I had this pile of hair or fur, and I took a picture and I was joking with her. I said, felting? And she's like, yeah, sure, you can felt the fur. I'm like, oh my God, this is too funny, because
Make a
like the
keepsake.
pile, the
Yeah.
pile was as big as the dog.
It's a
She's
very
just a
big
tiny little
keepsake.
piece. Yeah, so
Oh,
so there's many things that I'm bringing that are opening for the community and the area, and perhaps if people are coming through, that they can just connect with me and see if there's something going on that they may like
yeah.
to join.
There is really something special about creativity. And it's really unlike anything else. And it is so important. I find when I'm creative, it really causes me, again, there's that magic word, surrender. There has to be space to receive. And so oftentimes when I'm working with people who are like, oh, I'm creatively blocked, and it's like, okay, what can you let go of? What can you do to actually make yourself available to receive creativity? And sometimes we just need to slow down and do less stuff, especially in the digital age. I'm finding of having moments of out in nature, do nothing. How long can you do nothing?
Doing nothing is doing something.
Yeah. But it's not looked at that way. So people don't value it. They're afraid they're being selfish once again. And it's like, no, that's a very required, different kind of fuel where you're opening up, you're surrendering to something else to fill you up.
Sure. Nature gives you that energy. Nature helps you to release that heaviness. It nature loves to be the mulch, and turn that crap up and down, and take it from you. The earth is, Pachamama is loving that, because it's fertilizer, and then something can grow out of that. Imagine just letting one thing that may be on your mind right now, just letting it go, and it opens up that perspective, just like you were talking about earlier, that people just have that limited space. But if we can say, just give ourselves permission to just let go one thing that's holding us back, or one belief that's limited, and allow ourselves to experience that, we just opened up a whole new world. A whole lot of other things are able to come to us and come into us. And that's what I was saying earlier was I'm trusting my intuition, so I open this space. And I don't know exactly what my future is, but I will tell you, 18 months ago, I didn't know I would have gone to Bali. I wouldn't known I would be invited to come to the Irish Hypnosis Conference in April. I'm a guest speaker at the IACT conference in May in Orlando. I didn't know this
I'll
stuff
see
was
you at
going
that
to
one.
happen. Yay! That's wonderful.
I'm not presenting, I'm just coming to take it all in.
It's perfect.
And I don't know if you know, but Michigan Hypnosis Conference proposals are open. I'm hoping to also see you there.
Okay, I will put that out there.
I want to say they are closing before April, so you definitely want to get it in soon.
Okay, and when is that?
That one's in September.
Okay.
I'd give you the date, but I'm probably going to be wrong.
It's okay. We'll check in later.
But I'm looking forward to those. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. I'm looking forward to hearing you present. I'm bummed that I'm going to be missing the Ireland one. I didn't realize so many people were going, and it's like, oh, I would have enjoyed that, but I didn't prioritize it. So maybe in a future year. I did see New Zealand, and it's like, ooh, should I put that on my bucket list for 2026? Did you see
Well,
that one?
actually, yeah. Well, New Zealand contacted me.
Wow.
I'm doing teaching on art and hypnosis, how to combine them in August, which is the date is extremely close to my daughter's due date. So,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, tricky, tricky.
So
Yeah.
it'll be online. It'll be on Zoom, so that's useful, and it'll be I think like 1:30 in the morning here. But I'm excited. I'm really excited. His hypnosis is my passion, and it's amazing to be able to be on the other side and watch people blossom and you know find happiness in their life.
Yeah. And just be present. Stop time traveling. Just be here.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you've got all of these beautiful blossoming projects. You've got this new community space and events coming out and so much creativity. What do you think you would like to achieve out of 2025 beyond all of the things you're already doing?
Um. Well, I have set up. I just had a certification that I've taken for helping people with addiction, primarily coke and such. And
Oh,
that's really for more the people that are using that can't be known about it. They don't really know where to turn, like doctors or lawyers.
yeah.
So I have that available now, and I'm doing
Were
another
you in
process.
this were you in the same class as Luke Howard?
I'm not sure. It was on Zoom through Ireland. It was Carmack.
Oh,
Carmack taught it,
okay.
and so he had some really. It was interesting because a lot of the way he works is very similar to the way I work, and then he gave other things that I didn't have knowing about, which I think is going to be key to supporting my clients as well. Um, Also doing like a VIP if somebody needs to work with me after hours or on weekends, and they don't want to take that time to come here, and they're limited on time, CEOs and presidents of businesses and stuff like that, so that they can connect with me as well.
Yeah.
um, I think I'm just really trusting of what comes in, that I'm guided, and I know that by doing these things like going to Ireland, and it's just opening up more.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of work with addictions. Admittedly, I really don't. I do a little bit of smoking cessation. That's kind of
Mm.
it. Um, but what I've noticed is that it's often a result of trauma and it's usually the symptom, not normally the problem. What's your
Yes,
take on that?
I agree 100%. um the addictions is about not wanting to feel, and I think if there was a different process being done, not only, prescribing other things to counteract the addiction, but to truly help that individual to be able to work out the trauma,
Mhm.
I believe we would have a lot of people so much more empowered and not addicted to things. Because essentially, once they decide they're not going to be that person anymore, they're not going to allow that energy to affect them anymore, they no longer have an addiction.
Right.
And it is that decision. And I think, with hypnosis, it helps them because consciously, everybody knows they don't want to be this way. They don't want to be using this. They don't want to be losing their family or their jobs. Nobody wants to be in that place. And
Yeah.
I think it's one piece. There's many addictions out there. There's food, there's workaholics, there's so many kinds of addictions out there, yet this one piece is seen as horrific and not
Yeah.
acceptable. Yet a lot of people are judging it that are, shopaholics, and they're pointing the finger. And it's all a way of not dealing, not feeling, not wanting to be in that emotion. And with hypnosis, it just really helps to cut through that, and you don't have to re-traumatize yourself. There's different ways of being able to work with letting that go, and that's key.
Absolutely, it is. The other thing is, I find it incredibly ironic because oftentimes when people are looking to fill that need, that void, to avoid whatever they're trying to avoid, they don't want to be selfish. But then as they're engaging or enraptured in this addiction, that's ultimately what they become. It's like the shadow in real time. Isn't that fascinating that if they had just gone the other way first of, you know what, I need time to process whatever this feeling is. I'm going to give it space. I'm going to be with it. I'm going to honor myself. Had they been selfish in that way, they'd have less need for the other.
But they don't know how to do that. They don't know that that concept is available. They weren't taught that as, children. We're not taught that. We're taught, you do what I tell you to do. You take care of Nana first, or you go over and shovel the driveway because they're elderly and they can't do it, and that's your responsibility. I think, that is a total form of manipulation,
Yeah.
and in an aspect of some form of narcissism, because that is not teaching that person to be an individual, to be able to think for themselves, to be able to embrace and nurture themselves even as a young person, where they can empower themselves, and then they want to go over and they want to help, clean off the snow on the driveway, because it's what feeds they feel good about it. They want to share.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we don't live in that.
Yeah. And it is a need that we have to give back. And we're looking at, I think it's Tony Robbins has a list that he references of human needs, and giving back to a community is one of them. But could you imagine if we taught young people from an early age of, okay, fill up your cup now from this place of self full? How
Mhm.
would you like to bring that out in the world? Completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. How do we create that? How about we sit down and create that together?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
excited because I have a little one that's going to be coming, and I get to be some kind of, you know, um,
doula.
oh, well, I could be a doula, but I get to be some kind of inspiration that I'm able to touch this life, and to be able to do it where I'm at now and where I will be in that time, instead of years ago when I was in my own heavy place.
Learning through your learning phases.
I like that.
That
Yes,
training had to come in sometime.
absolutely.
Any chance of a hypnobirth?
She hasn't asked me yet. However, she is going to a midwife who caught her. And that midwife that is going to catch her baby became a really, really good friend of mine and said, I need your help. And that's where I learned hypnosis. She asked me if I wanted to do hypnosis for hypnobirthing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how. And then she said, well, I'll make you a tape. And I listened to the tape. Now that dates me. And so I had my children naturally, no chemicals. And then she's like, I could really use your help to help people release this idea of fear, because again, we're in this system of fear, fear, fear. And so I'm like, yeah, I would love to help your clients. I don't know how to do that. And she hands me a book that has scripts for hypnobirthing. And that's where it all began. It's like, this found me. I didn't look
Almost
for
full
this.
circle.
Yeah.
You've almost got a whole little hero's journey right there. That's awesome. I forgot that that was part of your origins. That's so cool.
Yeah.
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 Hmm.
Amazing
Well,
process.
hopefully she remembers that and she's intrigued and wants to practice that with you, because what a cool opportunity that would be, to just have that within your relationship and memories as well as you welcome your new little one into the family.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Aw. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the listeners before you head off and continue to help people out in the world?
I think just to really allow yourself to touch in with yourself. Take a moment, just one moment today. Take a couple nice deep cleansing breaths and just say yes, and connect with your heart and ask your heart how you can say yes to yourself. And maybe that's just about taking a few moments every day and doing some deep breathing, or imagining you're in a special place. Maybe it's the beach, or, at grandma's kitchen where she's making cookies. Just allow yourself to have that little bit of space, because that just allows you to become more fluid in your life. It allows you to have more clarity within your mind and your brain. And it allows you to find those peaceful places every once in a while. It just kind of gets in there, because you are creating the new neural pathways. And just know that you are worth it. You are worth it. And to live in your passion. Find those things that you're passionate about, even if it's just a few moments a day.
Yeah.
So, and just
And
choose.
that's the foundation of building those great relationships once again.
Absolutely.
You want to show the book one more time?
Sure, of course. Yay. This was my baby too.
Yeah, a
So,
totally different kind, but absolutely.
yes,
Yeah.
it's in print. Imagine that. So, love me means loving you first. And then when you're loving you, you're able to love that other. And then you can come together and love us in that beautiful love ship or friendship, or, even if it's just with nature.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time, your energy, and always being a fascinating person to explore healing trauma and beyond with. And I will see you out there, soulful seekers. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found something really insightful today. Stay happy, be well, but always stay inspired. Bye for now. Okay, let's give that a moment. It should upload. How are you feeling?
Good. You make it easy.
I try to.
You do. You do. You make it easy. I'm not proficient as you are in this,